talk of economic development, I fervently believe that knowledge-based development should be given a chance to flourish. In order to do so, I think we have to encourage the implementation of programs in the educational and tertiary educational arena that encourages the youth, especially in our society, to obtain the requisite skills and knowledge, for example, in terms of the digital technological revolution that is taking place in the emerging developing countries. Why we as a country have missed this opportunity? Primarily because policymakers and decision makers have not given adequate priority to encourage and promote and facilitate the digital revolution that is taking place throughout the international arena. And we have missed that opportunity.
Yeah. Sajid, given that I'm getting so many questions here, can you kindly tell the audience what are the benefits that you are offering in your manifesto for the private sector before I move on again?
Well, I would say, rather than using the word benefits, we are trying to empower the private sector with adequate fiscal support and adequate monetary support. As you know, in any economy, the fiscal and monetary policy balance is of the essence if one is to stabilize the economy and encourage the economy to grow. So as far as fiscal policy is concerned, the most important aspect is to provide the businesses, the private entrepreneurs, with a conducive environment through tax breaks, reducing the tax burden, and simplifying the tax structure. We all have accepted the famous dictum that higher taxes leads to retardation of entrepreneurship, which in turn leads to lesser economic growth. So I think it is vital and important to reduce the tax burden on the wealth generating businesses, both big, medium and small, and free them up to be innovative, to be smart.
So you are giving a commitment that will knock down the taxes, right?
Of course,
Yeah.
my manifesto says so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think we should put our hands together for this.
For those who may respond with cynicism and sarcasm, I have to say my declaratory policies and action policies will be the same. There will be no discrepancies. What I say will be implemented on the ground, and you will be to see it yourself. In addition to that, the monetary policy has to be balanced, and there has to be proper management of the interest rates. We all know, one who has adequate knowledge of basic economics, what we have studied in school and what we have seen in practice, the marginal efficiency of capital theory. As the interest rates go high, as the interest rates go high, there is a disincentive to invest. There's a disincentive to be innovative and start up new businesses. So there has to be a concerted effort to give adequate interest rate relief so that access to capital, access to credit is a benefit that entrepreneurs, both traditional ones and the emerging ones, are given the opportunity of obtaining credit so that they become active participants and stakeholders in the wealth creating mechanism. So I think as far as fiscal and monetary policy is concerned, I'm very mindful of the beliefs and thinking in the business community, and I for one will always promote favorable tax policies and interest rate policies in order to encourage thrift, in order to encourage entrepreneurship, in order to encourage that we have the business sector very much motivated, very much ready to propel the economic growth of our country.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's another panel crowd waiting for Mr. Anukumara Disanayak at the Chamber of Commerce, being aware of that. Very interesting question that has been coming up, and it is for all panelists, but I will pose it to Mr. Disanayak. Ape Rajya Sevaya යම් අවස්ථාවල පැවසෙනවා අපිට අවශ්‍ය ලක්ෂ 7යි රජයේ සේවකයෝ. නමුත් මේ වෙනකොට මිලියන 1.5කට වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් රාජ්‍ය සේවකයෝ ඉන්නවා. ඒ වගේම ඔබතුමාගේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශයේ සෑහෙන ප්‍රමාණයක් රාජ්‍යයෙන් යම් දේවල් කිරීම ගැන සඳහන් වෙනවා. මේ සන්දර්භය තුල කොහොමද මේ සංඛ්‍යාව එක්ක අඩු කරනවද නැත්නම් කොහොමද මේ බර නිදහස් කරන්න එක ගොඩක් ආපු ප්‍රශ්නයක්.
ඔව් මම හිතනවා විශේෂ සංවාදයකට සහ සාකච්ඡාවට බඳුන් වී තිබෙනවා අපේ රාජ්‍ය සේවය පිළිබඳව. බොහෝ සාකච්ඡාවල ලැබිලා තිබෙන්නේ මේ රාජ්‍ය සේවය අපිට බරක්. මේක අපේ ආර්ථිකයට ඔරොත්තු දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන සංවාදය තමයි උඩට ඇවිල්ලා තිබෙන්නේ. මම විශ්වාස කරනවා ඔබ උදාහරණයකට ගත්තොත් මම හිතන අපේ ප්‍රවාහන නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරයා ඉන්නවා. අපි CTB එකේ බස් ප්‍රමාණය සංසන්දනය කළ බැලුවොත් බස් එකකට සේවකයෝ 8 දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. බස් එකකට සේවකයෝ 8 දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඒ බස් එක අඩුම තරමේ ආදායමක උපයන්න ඕන ඒ 8 දෙනාගේ වැටුප් වෙන්නේ. මම හිතන ඒක කරන්න බෑ. සිදුවී තිබෙන පහුගිය කාලේ පුරාවටම අපේ මේ රාජ්‍ය සේවය ඒ දේශපාලන අයගේ උවමනාව විසින් පුරවනු ලැබුවා. කාලයක් විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයේ පිරුණේ මහනුවරින්. ඊළඟ කාලයක පිරවෙනවා කෑගල්ලෙන්. තව කාලයක පෙට්‍රෝලියම් එක පිරවෙනවා ගිරිඋල්ලෙන්. ඒ නිසා මේ සියල්ල රාජ්‍ය ආයතන දේශපාලකයන් Tamanගේ බලය තහවුරු කර ගැනීම සඳහා විනාශ කරපු ආයතන බවට පත් වී තිබෙනවා. එනිසා මේ සේවකයන් බඳවා ගැනීම, සේවකයන්ට උසස් වීම ලබා දීම, අවශ්‍ය මාරු වීම ලබා දීම මුළුමනින්ම දේශපාලනත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වී තිබෙනවා. එනිසා අපි පළමු ප්‍රයත්න තමයි අපේ රාජ්‍ය සේවය මත මේ බර තබා තිබෙන දේශපාලන හස්තය රාජ්‍ය සේවයෙන් ඉවත් කරනවා. කිසිසේත්ම තමන්ගේ මැතිවරණ ව්‍යාපාරය වෙනුවෙන් රැකියාවක් ලබා දීමේ ප්‍රතිපත්තියකට අපි යන්නේ නැහැ රාජ්‍ය සේවය. දැන් පළමු ප්‍රතිපත්තිය. දෙක, දැන් ගොඩගැසී තිබෙන රාජ්‍ය සේවයට මොකද කරන්නේ? මා විශ්වාස කරනවා මේ කිසිවෙක් අපිට ඉවත් කිරීමේ හැකියාවක් නැහැ. ඒ නිසා අපි කළ යුතු වන්නේ ඒ අය ඵලදායීතාවයෙන් යොදවා ගැනීම සඳහා අපිට සැලැස්මක් අවශ්‍ය වී තිබෙනවා. උදාහරණයකට ගත්තොත් ඔබ දන්නවද? අපේ ග්‍රාම සේවක වසමකට රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරීන් 4 දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. ආසන්න වශයෙන් ග්‍රාම සේවක වසමකට වැටුප් සඳහා පමණක් ලක්ෂ 2කට ආසන්න මුදලක් වැය වෙනවා. ඒ කිසිසේත්ම අපි වන රටකට ඔරොත්තු දෙන එකක් නෙවෙයි. හැබැයි මේ පත්තින් සියල්ල බලපුවාම ඒ මොහොතේ තමන්ගේ දේශපාලන අර්බුද, දේශපාලන උවමනාව වෙනුවෙන් පුරවන ලබදී. ඒ නිසා මා විශ්වාස කරනවා රාජ්‍ය සේවය මුදවා ගැනීමත් දැන් බරක් බවට පත් වී තිබෙන කණ්ඩායම්, දැන් බරක් බවට පත් වී තිබෙන කණ්ඩායම් වලට ඵලදායීතාවයෙන් යුතුව රාජ්‍ය සේවයට යොදවා ගැනීම සඳහා සැලැස්මක් අපිට අවශ්‍ය වී තිබෙනවා. ඊළඟ මේ රාජ්‍ය සේවයත් එක්ක බැඳෙන විශේෂම අපිව ප්‍රශ්න කරන ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි ඔබලා රාජ්‍ය මත පදනම් වූ ආර්ථිකයද ඉස්සරහට ගෙන යමින් තිබෙන්නේ පෞද්ගලික අංශය අත්තරින එකක්ද කියලා. ඔක තමයි මම හිතන්නේ මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ යට මම හිතනවා මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ යට ඒ අඩංගු වී තිබුණා. ඔබලා පෞද්ගලික අංශය කරේ දක්වන ප්‍රතිපත්තිය කුමක්ද? මා විශ්වාස කරන අපේ රටේ ගමන් ඉදිරි මාවත රඳා පවතින්නේ රාජ්‍ය හා පෞද්ගලික අංශයේ ඒකබද්ධතාවයක් මත. මුළුමනින්ම රාජ්‍ය මත හෝ මුළුමනින්ම පෞද්ගලික අංශය මත නෙවෙයි. හැබැයි පෞද්ගලික අංශයට සිදු වී තිබෙන්නේ කුමක්ද? කවර හෝ පාලනයක් ඔබට තව අවුරුදු 10කින් අපේ ශේෂ්ත්‍රවල ඉලක්ක ලබා දී තිබෙනවාද? මා දන්නා මෙතන ඉදිකිරීම් ශේෂ්ත්‍රය අදාළ කණ්ඩායම් ඉන්න ආණ්ඩුවක් විසින් ඔබට ඉදිරිපත් කර තිබෙනවාද? 2030 දී අපි අපේ රටේ ඉදිකිරීම් කර්මාන්ත ගෙන යන තැන ඔබට ඉදිරිපත් කොට තිබෙනවාද? අපේ රටේ කිරි කර්මාන්තය තව අවුරුදු 10කින් කොතෙන්ද ගෙන යන්නේ කියලා. අපි තා සැලසුම් සාගතව අපේ රටේ අත්‍යවශ්‍ය තැන් අපි අවුරුදු 10ක ඉලක්කයක් හදනවා. අන්න ඉලක්කය සඳහා අපි පෞද්ගලික අංශයට ආරාධනා කරනවා. රාජ්‍ය විසින් මේ ආර්ථිකය තෝරාගත්තු ශේෂ්ත්‍ර සංවර්ධන සැලැස්මක් හදනවා. ඒ සංවර්ධන සැලැස්ම සඳහා පෞද්ගලික අංශ දායක කර ගැනීම තමයි අපේ අපේක්ෂාව. එසේ නැත්නම් පෞද්ගලික අංශයට අද සිදු වී තිබෙන දේ තමයි රටේ ආර්ථිකයේ කුමන තැනකටද වර්ධනය වේවිද? ආර්ථිකයේ මොන ශේෂ්ත්‍රයක් මොන තැනකට ඒවිද කියලා අදහසක් නැතුව කල්පනා කර කර ආයෝජන යොදවන්න සිදු වී තිබෙනවා. දාන්න හිතෙනවා, අත්තරින්න හිතෙනවා. ආය ගන්න හිතෙනවා, ආය අකුලන්න හිතෙනවා. ඒ වෙනුවට දිගු කාලන ආර්ථික සැලැස්මක් අපි ඔබට ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා. ඒ සඳහා ඔබේ දායකත්වය ලබා ගන්න. ඒ වගේම පෞද්ගලික සෙනෙල සියලු ව්‍යාපාරික මහතුරුන්ට මා කියන්න කැමතියි. ඔබගේ ආයෝජනයක් හෝ ඔබගේ ව්‍යාපාරික අවස්ථාවක් හෝ ලබා ගැනීම වෙනුවෙන් කිසිදු දේශපාලකයෙක් පස්සේ නොයා යුතුයි. එහෙම නොයන තත්ත්වයක් අපි නිර්මාණය කරනවා. ඔබගේ ආයෝජනය යහපත් නම් ඔබට ඒ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය බැංකු වලින් සහනයක් අවශ්‍ය නම් ඒ ඔබගේ ආයෝජනයේ ප්‍රතිලාභ මත තමයි ලබාගත හැකි වන්නේ. නමුත් අද මා දන්නවා ගොඩාක් අයට තමන්ගේ දේශපාලන හිතවත්කම් මත තමයි ව්‍යාපාර කරන්න පුළුවන් ද බැද්ද කියන නිර්ණායක තියෙනවා. අපි ඒක අවසන් කරනවා. ඊළඟ ව්‍යාපාර ලෝකේ නීත්‍යානුකූල තත්ත්වයක් නිර්මාණය කරනවා. අපි වාණිජ විද්‍යාවේදී ඉගෙන ගන්නවා වරායම් බහඬ නිදහස් කර ගැනීම කියලා එකක්. හැබැයි බොහෝ දෙනා කරන්නේ වරායම් බඩු පැන්නීම. මොකද මේ හරි? ඉගෙන ගන්න නිදහස් කර ගැනීම. හැබැයි ඔබ දුරකථනෙන් අහන්නේ අද කොහොම හරි පන්න ගත්තද කියලා. එයි ඔබට නිසි පරිදි වරායට බදු පෙන්නලා ඔබට වෙළඳපොළට එන්න බෑ. ඇයි? පන්නපු බඩු වෙළඳපොලේ තියෙනවා. ඔබට නිසි පරිදි ආදායම් බදු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට ඔබගේ ආදායම් පෙන්වන්න බෑ. අපි සාමාන්‍ය වාණිජ විද්‍යාව ඉගෙන ගන්නවා. හැම ව්‍යාපාරිකම කෑෂ් බුක් එකක් තියා යන්න ඕන කියලා. එදිනෙදා තියෙන වියදම් ගනුදෙනු ලියන්න ඕන. ඔබ කෑෂ් බුක් එකක් තියා යනවා ඔබගේ අවබෝධයට තව එකක් තියා යනවා ආණ්ඩුවට පෙන්වන්න. ඇත්ත. ඒ සිදු වී තිබෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඔබ නිවැරදි පරිදි ආදායම් බදු ගෙවුවොත් ආදායම් බදු නිසි පරිදි නොගෙවෙන කණ්ඩායමක් එක ඔබට තරම් කරන්න සිදු වී තිබෙනවා. මේක වෙලා නැද්ද? ඉතින් සෑම ව්‍යාපාරිකයකටම කැමැත්තෙන් හෝ අකමැත්තෙන් මේ යාන්ත්‍රණය ඇතුලේ තමන්ගේ ව්‍යාපාරය පවත්වාගෙන යන්න සිදු වී තිබෙනවා. අපි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට දෙන ප්‍රධානම සාධකය තමයි අප ව්‍යාපාරික ලෝකය නිසි පරිදි නියාමනයකට ලක් වෙන සහ නීත්‍යානුකූල ව්‍යාපාරවල යෙදෙන්න පුළුවන් පරිසරයක් නිර්මාණය කරනවා. මොකද මට වරායම් බඩු පන්නන්න මට එහෙම ව්‍යාපාරිකෙක් නෙවෙයි. මට බදු ෆයිල් හංගන්න මම එහෙම ව්‍යාපාරිකෙක් නෙවෙයි. මම දේශපාලකයෙක්. ඒ නිසා සියලු ව්‍යාපාරවල සමාන අවස්ථා නිර්මාණය කිරීම අපේ අපේක්ෂාව. තුන්වෙනි එක. පෞද්ගලික අංශය අපි වර්ධනයක් පිළිබඳ අපේක්ෂා කරන අතර මම විශ්වාස කරනවා රාජ්‍ය අංශයේ සමහර ශේෂ්ත්‍ර තිබෙනවා අත්තරින්න ඕන. ඒක එක යුගයකදී රාජ්‍ය අංශය ආර්ථික ප්‍රසාරණය කිරීම සඳහා රාජ්‍ය ප්‍රාග්ධන යොදවලා එම ශේෂ්ත්‍ර ඉදිරියට ගත්තා. ඉදිරියට ගත්තාට පසුව රාජ්‍ය අංශයක අත්තරින්න ඕන. මා කියන්නේ ශේෂ්ත්‍ර මොනවද කියලා. නමුත් අපි කතා කරලා තෝරාගමු. අපි ලෑස්ති එකට. හැබැයි ඒ වගේම මම ඔබට කියන්න කැමතියි සමහර ශේෂ්ත්‍ර තිබෙනවා රාජ්‍ය මැදිහත්වීමක් ඕන. අපේ තියෙන කුඩා වෙළඳපොළ ආසන්න වශයෙන් ගත්තොත් අපේ වී නිෂ්පාදනය වෙන්නේ වසරකට මෙට්‍රික් ටොන් ලක්ෂ 38යි. මේ මෙට්‍රික් ටොන් ලක්ෂ 38 ඉතා කුඩා ව්‍යාපාරික කීප දෙනෙකුට වී වෙළඳපොළ ඒකාධිකාරීත්වයක් හදාගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා තමයි අපේ රටේ වී මිල අඩු වෙලා හාල් මිල වැඩි වෙන්නේ. අපිට තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් වී මිල අඩු වෙනම් හාල් මිල අඩු වෙන්න ඕන. වී මිල වැඩි නම් හාල් මිල වැඩි වෙන්න ඕන. අපේ රටේ සිදු වී තිබෙන්නේ කුමක්ද? වී මිල අඩුයි හාල් මිල වැඩි. මෙතන විකෘතියක් තිබෙනවා. මේ විකෘති ඇති වී තිබෙන්නේ වී ගබඩා කිරීම, වී සහල් බවට පත් කිරීම, වී තොග වෙන දාමෙත් ඒකාධිකාරීත්වයක් නිර්මාණය වී තිබෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපි කිසිසේත්ම ජනතාවට අත්‍යවශ්‍ය ශේෂ්ත්‍රවල ඒකාධිකාරීත්වයක් නිර්මාණය වෙන්න ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒට රාජ්‍ය මැදිහත්වීමක් අපි ඇති කරනවා. මොකද ජනතාවට අවශ්‍ය සේවාවන් තරඟකාරීත්වයෙන් ගැනීම හැකියාව අපි නිර්මාණය කරන්න ඕනකම තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඔබගේ බදු ප්‍රතිපත්තිය මා කියන වසරෙන් වසරට ඔබගේ බදු වෙනස් වෙන සංකීර්ණ මම දන්නවා සමහර ව්‍යාපාරයට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මට සමහර අය ගණන් හදලා පෙන්නුවා ඔහුගේ කළමනාකාරීත්වය විශාල පැය පංගුවක් වැය කරන්න වෙලා තියෙන්නේ බදු ෆයිල් හදන්න. මොකද මේ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ වසරින් වසරට අඩුම තරමේ වසර 5ක් පාලකයෙක් වෙනවා. ඒ පාලකයාට වසර 5කවත් ස්ථාවර බදු ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් අනුගමනය කරගන්න බැරි වී තිබෙනවා. අපි ඔබට අවුරුදු 5ක නිශ්චිත ස්ථාවර බදු ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් හඳුන්වා දෙනවා. එනිසා ඔබ කවුරුවත් අයවැය ලේඛනයක් ඉදිරිපත් කරනකොට බය වෙන්න ඕනේ. අද මොකද සිදුවී තිබෙන්නේ? අයවැය ලේඛන ඉදිරිපත් කරනකොට හැම ව්‍යාපාරිකම හොල්මන් වෙලා ඉන්නේ. මට මොකක්ද සිදුවේවි? අද මොකක්ද සිදුවේවිද? ඊට කලින් ආනයන කරනවද? ආනයන කිරීම පව් කරනවද? මෙහෙම සිදුවී නැද්ද? නිසා ස්ථාවරත්වයක් ඕන. ඒ නිසා බදු ප්‍රතිපත්තිය සරල කරමින් ස්ථාවරත්වයක් අඩුම තරමේ වසර 5කට ස්ථාවර බදු ප්‍රතිපත්තියකට අපි ගේනවා. ඒ නිසා ඔබට ඔබගේ ව්‍යාපාරය පිළිබඳ පුරෝකථනයක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඔබගේ ව්‍යාපාරය ආයෝජනය කරන්න කොයි දිශාවටද කියලා පුරෝකථනයක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඔබට ඔබගේ ආයෝජනය කොමුණු දිශාවට හරවන්න ඕන කියලා පුරෝකථනයක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා අද සිංහල භාෂාවෙන් කියනවා ඉබාගාති සලස්මක් ඍතු ඉබාගාතේ ගමන් කරන පෞද්ගලික අංශයක් වෙනකොට සැලසුම් සහගතව මෙහෙවන පෞද්ගලික අංශයක් නිර්මාණය කරනවා රටේ ජනතාවගේ සහ රටේ සංවර්ධනය අභිවෘද්ධිය වෙනුවෙන්. ඒක තමයි පෞද්ගලික අංශ පිළිබඳ අපේ ස්ථාවරය.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much. Yeah. Please, Arura, before you go, just listen to this answer. There's a good question to Mr. Premadasa. The question is, if you get elected as president, what will Sri Lanka look like in 2025?
Peaceful, stable, shared prosperity, inclusive growth, exports-based economic growth. We would have reached the highest echelons in the digital revolution. We will have a strong and vibrant, youthful group of policy administrators who will be guiding the country, and people will be there with a smile.
What about the international relations between the managing China and India?
I think when we look at international foreign relations and international economic and trade relations, first and foremost, the policy decision makers and the country as a whole, we all should have a clear-cut definition of what is our national interest. If the policymakers and the country as a whole are very clear-cut about what our national interests are, I think most of these disputes and arguments that are raised primarily for political reasons by various sectors who do not have their economic fundamentals and development fundamentals in place, it is very important that we have a national consensus. By and large, we may not be able to have total agreement, but by and large the country should have a set of national interests and national objectives which the country agrees upon. And we have to ensure that in any relationship, both political and trade, that as a country we achieve a comparative advantage in our relationships. It should be a comparative political advantage and it should be a comparative trade advantage. If we follow that particular principle and dictum, we call it in Sinhala සාපේක්ෂ වාසිය. සාපේක්ෂ වාසිය මත පදනම් වුණු ඕනම දේශපාලන සම්බන්ධතාවයක් හෝ විදේශීය සම්බන්ධතාවයක් තුළ අපේ රටට බොහොම ප්‍රගතිශීලී ගමනක් යන්නට පුළුවන්. So we have to ensure that international trade and political relationships are not formulated according to the whims and fancies of a few. You cannot have a small cabal of personnel deciding on the national interest. We have to have a national discussion and a national debate, and we have to continue to relate to the people. We need to get proper advice from specialists and from professionals in terms of these particular arenas, because as far as governance is concerned, throughout the decades, policy decision making has been by and large ad hoc, very much resorting to knee-jerk reactions. If you have your favorites coming and whispering in your ear, my dear king, this is good for the country, the day after it becomes governmental policy. That is not the way to go. I think when governing a country, we have to have a rational process whereby the national interest governs all policy making. And I sincerely believe that in terms of international political relations, trade and economic relations, we have to ensure that we achieve the national interest and not the interest of outside actors, be it governmental, be it institutional, be it any other organization, governmental or otherwise. We have to ensure that we ourselves as a country is fully in control of the decision-making processes, and we should never ever allow outside forces to dictate our national policy agenda.
Anura, I know you had to address Silanche, but one final question before you leave. Any good policy that supports the private sector, will the JVP be willing to support the government of the day?
මම හිතනවා අපේ ප්‍රතිපත්තීන් සහ තවත් ප්‍රතිපත්තීන් අතර වෙනස්කමක් තිබෙනවා. ඒ නිසා කිසිදු මුවවීමක් හෝ ඒකාබද්ධ වීමක් සිදුවීමට ඉඩකඩක් නැහැ. මොකද මේ අනුගමනය කරමින් තිබෙන ආර්ථික, දේශපාලන, සංස්කෘතික ප්‍රතිපත්ති මුළුමනින්ම වෙනවීමකින් තොරව අපේ රට ඉදිරි ගමනක් නැහැ කියන එක තමයි අපේ විශ්වාසය. මම අවසන් වශයෙන් කිව්වොත් අපේ රට ගොඩනැගීමේ ප්‍රධානම අත්තිවාරම වෙන්නේ කුමක්ද? කුමන කුළුණු තුන මතද අපේ රට ගොඩනගන්නේ? අපිට ආර්ථික ප්‍රතිපත්ති, අධ්‍යාපනීය, සෞඛ්‍ය ආදී ප්‍රතිපත්තීන් අතර විශාල විවාදයක් සංවාදයක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි රටක් ගොඩනැගීම සඳහා ප්‍රධාන කුළුණු තුනක් තිබෙනවා. එක, නීතියේ විධානයේ ආධිපත්‍යය නිසි පරිදි තහවුරු වීම. අපේ රටේ අද සිදුවී තිබෙන දේ තමයි ධනවත් බලවත් අයට එක නීතියකුත්, දුප්පත් දුබල අයට තව නීතියකුත්. මම හිතන්නේ නැහැ එහෙම රටකට ඉස්සරහට යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. ධනවත්ද දුප්පත්ද බලවත්ද දුබලද කියන ભેදකින් තොරව හැම දිනාටම සාධාරණ නීතියක් ඉටුවන රටක් නිර්මාණය කරන්න ඕන. ඒක තමයි පළමු ස්තම්භය. දෙක, වංචාව, දූෂණය, නාස්තියෙන් තොර පාලනය. ඔබ විශ්වාස කරනවද ලෝකයේ කොහේ හරි වංචනිකයෙක් හදපු රටක්, වංචනිකයෙක් රටක් හදනවා? රටක් නේ ඔබගේ ආයතනය ඇතුලේ. කවුරු හරි වංචනිකයෙක් ආයතනයේ දීපල හොරකම් කරනවා නම් ආයතනත් බිඳ වැටෙනවා. නිසා රටක් ගොඩ නැගීම සඳහා වංචාවෙන්, දූෂණයෙන්, නාස්තියෙන් තොර පාලනයක් අවශ්‍යයි. අපි ඔබට සහතිකයක් දෙනවා මේ රටේ වංචාවෙන්, දූෂණයෙන් තොර, නාස්තියෙන් තොර පාලනයක් තියනවා. ඒක තමයි දෙවෙනි ස්තම්භය. තුන්වෙනි ස්තම්භය මහජන ආරක්ෂාව සහ ජාතික සමගිය. අපිට ආරක්ෂාව නැතුව හැමදාම අපි සිංහල, දෙමළ, මුස්ලිම් ජනයා අතර ගැටුම් ඇති කරගනිමින්, යුද්ධ ඇති කරගනිමින් රටක් ඉස්සරහට යන්න බෑ. දැන් රටක් ගොඩනැගිවි තුන්වෙනි කරුණ මහජන ආරක්ෂාව සහ ජාතික සමගිය. ඒ නිසා අපේ රට ගොඩනැගීමේ ප්‍රධාන ස්තම්භ තුන අත්තිවාරම් බවට පත් වෙන්නේ නීති විධානයේ ආධිපත්‍යයත්, වංචාවෙන්, දූෂණයෙන් තොර පාලනයකුත්, මහජන ආරක්ෂාව සහ ජාතික සමගිය ගොඩනැගුණු රටක්. මම විශ්වාස කරනවා මේ අත්තිවාරම ගොඩනැගීමකින් තොරව අපිට ආර්ථිකය පිළිබඳව, අධ්‍යාපනය පිළිබඳව, සෞඛ්‍ය පිළිබඳව කවර ප්‍රතිපන්තීන් තිබුණත් මේ මූලික අත්තිවාරම ගොඩනගන්න නැතුව යන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා අපි ප්‍රධානම ප්‍රයත්නය සහ ප්‍රධානම උත්සාහය තිබෙන්නේ මේ අත්තිවාරම පිහිටවීම. අපි ඔබට සහතිකයක් දෙනවා. අපි නීති විධානයේ ආධිපත්‍ය කවදාවත් කඩන්නේ නැහැ. අපි වංචාවේ, දූෂණයේ, නාස්තියේ කවදාවත් යෙදෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපි ජාතිවාදයේ, ගැටුම්වාදී දේශපාලනයක අපි නිරත වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා මම විශ්වාස කරනවා අපේ රට ඉදිරියට ගෙන යන්න නම් මේ ස්තම්භ තුන, මේ අත්තිවාරම ගොඩනැගිය යුතුයි. අපි අත්තිවාරම් ගොඩනගාපුවට ඔබට අවසන් වශයෙන් මා සහතික වෙනවා.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anu.
I would like to invite Mr. Dinesh Virakodi to present a token of appreciation to Honorable Anurukumara Disanayake. A souvenir plus a gift courtesy Louis Ceylon.
Anura Kumar referred to national security. What is your strategy to bring back confidence to the public that the country will be safe?
I think when we address the issue of national security, we have to look at basically two aspects. We have to possess the requisite machinery and structures and mechanisms to ensure that national security interests are achieved. Most important is to depoliticize the security apparatus consisting of the three forces, police and the civil defense force. The depoliticization process should be accelerated. We have, to a certain extent, established independent commissions that have given the independence for the police especially to take decisions on behalf of the country, but I think you have to go a bit further and ensure that the systems in place are devoid of political interference. We have seen on several occasions where those who are in power have intervened with the security forces to achieve their personal agenda and their personal objectives. This should not be the case. We have to ensure that the security forces have total independence, free from political interference in their policy implementations and in discharging their duties. And we also have to ensure that the necessary structures are in place to face the modern day challenges to national security. The issue of national security, in my mind, has several aspects. Of course, there is a tendency to focus on military security, which is fair enough. I think it should be given the highest priority, no doubt. I think our armed forces have to be modernized, trained, and appropriately equipped to face the modern day challenges of terrorism. The terrorism that we faced for 3 decades was a particular type of terrorism which I don't think is the one that we face right now. What we face right now is a type of terrorism which is led by lesser numbers, creating maximum collateral and physical damage, maiming people, and creating death and mayhem. And I think greater priority has to be given to the intelligence services and the intelligence channels. And those aspects have to be strengthened and depoliticized. We will have special procedures in place, special structures in place that would address the issue of national security in a very, very surgical manner. In addition to the military security aspect, there is the economic aspect. if you examine the export destinations of Sri Lanka's exports, the vast majority, it's confined to 2 or 3 countries or groupings of countries. Now, this creates a serious situation of economic vulnerability, where those particular countries can use that as a bargaining tool and as leverage to decide on Sri Lanka's domestic policy. So we have to ensure that we embark on a process of export diversification. And that has to be a concerted governmental program, which we will go ahead with. And we have to look at social security. We have to have a safety net for the less fortunate in society. If we go back in time to the civil strife that took place in 1971 and in the late 80s, it was primarily the conclusions of the Youth Commission were that the youth of the day thought that there was a purposeful effort by governmental structures to ensure that the haves in society further prosper, and there was no hope at all for the have-nots in society. So we have to ensure that, excuse me, we have to ensure that you have to focus on the social security aspect of national security, ensure that that people feel that the system is just and fair, and that there's adequate and equitable redistribution of income and wealth among all sectors of Sri Lanka society. And then again, look at the issue of political security. We had the situation several years ago whereby the then administration encouraged extremism, encouraged religious extremism to the extent that places of worship were destroyed, and this created enmity and disharmony within the various ethnic religious groupings in our society. So it's all and fine to talk about unity, territorial integrity, sovereignty, political independence of our country in our constitution. But I sincerely believe that such sentiments, such positive sentiments have to be in the hearts and minds of all of our people, irrespective of caste, creed, ethnic or religious persuasion. That is very important. Okay. So national security as a subject per se has a variety of perspectives. I do agree that the military security aspect should be given priority, should be prioritized, but one must not ignore the economic, social, and political aspects of national security.
Okay. Thank you. There are
Dinesh,
just one question before I move on. This Rohan, you are a multi-millionaire businessman, right? I mean, a lot of people are quite surprised when you decided to contest, yes. Right? I'm going to shift the question a little bit and ask you, what do you really expect from the winner as a private sector businessman?
Well, firstly, a long wait, and nevertheless, let me thank the International Chamber of Commerce for organizing this, and we all can be content of the fact that today's proceeds are being utilized for a worthy cause, that is in developing the cancer hospital, Apeksha. Well, now your question is
a generous contribution also from you.
Yeah, at all. And your question is that what I would expect from the winner. In other words, you're asking myself that I should be asking myself. Well, very well. I might be carrying coals to Newcastle, but I have to, because most of the faces in the audience are familiar to me, and you know the kind of business that I'm involved in. But still, although I'm carrying coals to Newcastle, I will once again state it, because the relevance is still intact. I manufacture the impact sensor for the automobile airbag, and all the big brand names in the world are using it. And the uniqueness of what I do is its quality requirement, which is called 1 ppm quality. That is 1 part per million is the defect tolerance rate. And that is the highest level of quality anywhere in the world. There is no quality beyond that. So when I embarked on this, I was told by many that it would be impossible to do this in Sri Lanka. But looking at all the great monuments built by our ancestors almost 2,000 years ago, and the precision work that they had undertaken, I was convinced to the contrary. I thought that this DNA must be somewhere in our people. This gene must be somewhere in our people. I thought by providing the right leadership that I can rekindle this DNA. And here I am, I have been right. And this is the kind of confidence that I'm bringing after crossing over to politics. This is the kind of confidence that I'm trying to inculcate in the minds of the people of this country, that we Sri Lankans can do it. So because as you know, the airbag sensor is something that can distinguish between life and death. Because if the sensor does not work for an impact, you might be in the land of living or you might not be in the land of living. So if the world can entrust to a country like Sri Lanka a critical component like the airbag sensor, what cannot they entrust to Sri Lanka? So therefore, what I would be looking at is, if you ask me one single question, how do we come out with this economic deadlock or this economic morass as it is now? I would suggest that we need about US dollars 10 billion foreign direct investment within a very short period of time, maybe within 12 months. Not just to put it in the stock market and take it back, but within a short period, we will need about 10 billion foreign direct investment. And at the rate that things are happening now, people might wonder, because is it possible? Because we are not sending the right investment signals to the world. But of course, with the right leadership, let me tell you, it is possible. Because I declared my candidacy 3 years ago, and I have been traveling the world. And when I calculate the pledges, it comes to a few billions. And of course, we will have to fast-track these investments. Because what is important as to how I manage, because you might say there are state institutes and they have failed. You know, even the BOI has, it was less than 1 billion. But let me tell you, you have to understand the psyche of an investor. You have to understand as to what triggers in the mind of an investor before they make that investment decision. So for a leader, for an entrepreneur leader who has a political will, certainly can convince, of course he'll have to do some traveling, he can convince the world to come and invest in Sri Lanka. That is what I would do if I'm elected, once I'm elected to that office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think to be gender sensitive, we have the only female candidate sitting next to me, and we haven't asked a question. And Doctor, there is a question straight down your path. This question says, we are very vulnerable to the climatic changes in the world. And how will your policies make sure that we will be living?
Thank you. I'm happy to be able to speak right now because I think I was kept very quiet for almost 1 hour. And I was beginning to feel whether there are first-class presidential candidates and second-class presidential candidates.
Madam, we were going by this.
Okay. Basically, Before I speak about the climate change issues, I would like to say something about the development itself. Basically, there are a few principles that underlie when you are the president. Number one, I think where we have gone wrong in Sri Lanka in terms of development is number one is when you become the president, you need to give up your political party. This has not happened in Sri Lanka, and I think one of the reasons why the development has got so slowed down in Sri Lanka is because when a person becomes the president, they work so hard to enhance their political party than the development of the country. So therefore, I firmly believe we need to make sure that this policy remains. Second thing is how do we really bring about policies in Sri Lanka? We normally, whether it be the fisheries policy, whether it be the housing policy, or the agricultural policy of the country, it's generally produced, the policies are produced by consultants. They're done by consultants, but not by those who are actually involved in the sector. One of the reasons why development got slowed down again is because the fishery policy is developed by someone who's other than a fisherman. And the voice of the fisherman is not included in the policy. Rather, it comes from either from outside or it's done by someone who's an academic on fishery subject area. Same way with farming, why our farmers are struggling today is because our policies are not based on the needs of the farming community. And so eventually, the farming community does not know exactly how the agricultural sector is run. They don't agree with it. And their grievances are huge. And so we need to ensure the voice of the farmers is heard as included in the policy. Same way with the laborers in the industrial sector, their voices, their grievances, their needs need to be included in it. Another thing that happens very often, whenever a new minister is appointed, they change the policy. So we have a country called Sri Lanka where the policies are constantly being changed, and every 5 years or whatever it may be, people are coming up with new things. So I think if we are going towards development, sustainable development, we need to ensure that the policies are related to those who actually work in the sector, and they should not be changed. No matter which government comes, who comes into power, it should remain the same. Second thing is we need to work very hard on the ethnic issues, because we have a problem between the north, the east, and the south. Without laying down firm foundations, without listening to the voice of the people, we cannot even bring about a development. And so I just want to say right now, I have been traveling to Jaffna, to the eastern sectors, and people are not happy. Because every area, the northern sector, the people of north wants to develop their sector according to their dreams and their wishes. That sector belongs to them, the area belongs to them. And so we need to make sure that the development really happens in such a way that the people's participation, people's needs are looked after, and their voices are heard. The third thing is, when we are actually doing development, do we really think about the sectors themselves? I just want to give examples of two sectors. The garment factories, where the women are working 8 hours a day, and they spend all 8 hours standing. They work only standing for 8 long hours. And they are paid only 15,000 rupees, or even the maximum is 21,000 rupees. And when they don't even have a place where they can actually rest, they don't even have a place where they can actually live well. And they have huge grievances. So, how can we develop when the people who are working in the industries are not happy themselves? Let's look at the tea plantations. We talk about the tea plantations in a very fairy style. We glamorize it. You know, we talk so lovely about it. But have we realized that those who are plucking tea and bringing a great name for Ceylon tea, most of them have lived in those estates for 40 years, and many don't even have a proper toilet. And they have had to wait such a long time to bring their grievances. So this is the situation right now in Sri Lanka. And we are talking about development. And we need to be very careful and sure of as to what we are talking, because the next president has a huge task of making sure that the voice of the people are heard, the people's grievances are looked after before any development can take place. Now, to answer your question on climate change, because the climate change is something that we cannot change, because everything else that I spoke about, we can change right now. It's up to us. It's up to the next president. But the climate change is an issue which is because of man-made as well, but it is something happening all over the world. With regard to the development and climate change, one of the most important things we need to remember is we in Sri Lanka, we bring about a lot of development projects, but they are always haphazard. Just because some money comes into the country for a development project, we accept the project, we want to do that project somehow, and then we always forget the environmental regulations that are required in the development process. Environmental impact assessment. Environmental impact assessments are only done when the people in the area where the development project is actually happening are screaming loud and saying there are many issues. Then they remember the environmental impact assessment and they actually do one. I really want to talk about two issues: Port City, Aruwakkalu dump site. Both of them did not start with an environmental impact assessment report. The purpose of an environmental impact assessment report is to ensure that when you actually do that project in a given site, that you want to know what are the negative impacts of that project on the site. And then, as a scientist, you would be able to say, these negative impacts would happen in this area if this project comes. How do you mitigate the negative impacts? How do you make sure that the negative impacts are minimized? The next one is, in the environmental impact assessment report that should be included, is a monitoring plan. In Sri Lanka, most of the work, most of the development projects fail because of lack of monitoring, both financial monitoring as well as social monitoring and developmental monitoring. Most of the time, we forget that. So we need to make sure that side is looked after.
Madam, I'll stop you. I promise you I'll come back to you again. Right? Can we move on to Gamini? Yeah. Because there are 200-300.
Okay, let me just
I'll come back to you. I promise you I'll come back to you.
Will you ask the question?
Yeah, Gamini. No. Yeah. Gamini, is the general coming on air? Okay, so, yeah. Gamini, keep it short. Huh?
Gamini, the question that has come and the question that I was going to ask is, of the People's Movement, National People's Movement, what is the economic thrust on which you are approaching to come up from where we are? Yeah.
To be fair by our first-class presidential candidate, I need little bit time to explain what we stand for, because National People Movement's being relatively a new organization, and then I will come to the economic policy. This movement was started 4 years ago. I don't have to reiterate the problems the country is going through, because that was expressed by most of the other candidates, which every one of you all are aware of. But as a number of educated people, professionals, and people who love this country, we felt that the main two political parties who govern this country, they have failed to fulfill the aspirations of the people of this country. And to that, as part of the people, those who have educated through the free education system from this country, we are accountable and we are responsible to ensure that it is changed. That's how the National People's Movement was born. So we have been working on this for the last 4 years, and initially we started as a pressure group. Initially we wanted to work with any of the government and to give them the correct direction and the guidance to put this country forward on the correct direction. But then later on we realized, when there is no people power behind you, the governments go ahead and do what they want to do. One classic example is we had number of interactions is the Singapore Free Trade Agreement. As a group of people, we have concerns. After doing that, the significant difference here is Mahesh Senanayake, the general, he in the army, up to August 18th, we did not know him personally even. But nevertheless, as a group, when we got together, we decided we all are rallying around towards ideology, towards a policy. So who could be the best candidate who can challenge and bringing a turn to this current corrupted political climate. With that in mind, we approached him, and then we had a discussion with him, and we brought in him. We would say we are using him. I mean, very, very crude way we are using him, which he is also aware of, as against most of the other candidates. They are being promoted by political parties, and some of them are self-proclaimed, whereas we tell him that he is the only non-partisan national candidate, because he does not belong to any political party, whereas according to the regulatory requirements, there he has to contest through a political party. That is why he is contesting through the National People's Party. Coming back to the economy, which plays a very, very important role, why we formed this civil organization. When you go back, you see some of those things already shared by some of the people, Dr. Ajanta and Andhra Kumar especially. 42% of the population of this country, they are agricultural community, and their daily income is less than $2. On the other hand, we are talking about increasing the GDP per capita to 10,000, 12,000. So what is it we are talking? We have totally forgotten about a less marginalized, underprivileged, larger section of the society. One. The second thing is who brings in dollars to this country. We said all these three ladies. Who are these three ladies? Those who are working in the plantation sector, those who are working in the garment sector, and those who are working in the Middle East. Any of the previous governments, have they had a concerted effort to ensure that their livelihood and their income levels are increased? No. Just simply think about, rather than talking, no, I'm not saying just to disregard, but if you focus on our agricultural community, and if you can increase their daily income by just $1, what would be the contribution to the GDP? What would be the contribution to the private sector, other enterprises? Their buying power will go back, and it will be a cyclic effect. So why we are not looking at that way? So we are talking about a middle income trap. To overcome middle income trap, basically we are talking about a four-prong attack. First one is, we talk about how you can facilitate export-led industrial growth. When we talk about export-led industrial growth, which should be based on our intellectual capital and the mineral and the other resources which we have. Very simple example is, if you look at the tea exports, tea smallholders, they bring in twice the contribution what the tea plantation companies brings to our coffers. So does that mean that we have failed to make effective use of our plantation sector? Definitely yes. So if we can really make use of and have plans, even to not to replant above 5,000 feet, most of the environment problems will be solved. And below 5,000 feet, if we can effectively make use of that resource what we have, we don't have to go and promise that we have to give 1,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees to estate workers. We can create environment such that they themselves become entrepreneurs. Some of the other candidates also talk about, what about ecotourism? Then what about cross cultivation, spices, pepper, all these things? If you can give them the ownership and ask them to do that, it could happen. Then on the other hand, what about the mineral resources? None of the previous governments, they did not want to address. I personally know the Ceylon mineral sands, there was one efficient civil servant, when he wanted to come up and when he wanted to send purified products, he was removed from that, and one of the corrupted bureaucrats was put back to the mineral sand. Personally, if you all want, I can give the names. Whereas, we know very recently, Slintech, we have intellectual capital.
Gamini, you need to now summarize.
Yeah. We have intellectual capital, but we have failed to make use of it. Then the first one is export-led industrial growth. Then the second one, what we are talking about is this, how we can make efficient the state-owned enterprises. Some of those state-owned enterprises we have to scrap, and we don't believe that the government should run business. Government should create the facilitating environment with the private sector participation to run. It could be PPP model or BOO, BOT, whatever the model, running the private sector enterprises and facilitate and giving them encouragement. That is the second area we are talking about. The third area is how you can attract FDIs and the trade balance. Now, always we are talking about huge investment bringing in.
FDI and all, I'll come back again. There are a whole lot of questions there, so I'll maybe refer to you.
Okay, but I have to briefly, because otherwise my picture will not be complete. So I'm not going to go into
you
detail.
can come back to complete.
No, I'm not going to go into detail,
okay.
But we will have a focus on how we can trap and bring in foreign direct investments. Then the fourth area which we are talking about is how we can relook at the tax structure and how we can bring in the tax simplified structure, because we don't believe in this VAT structure is conducive to average small SME sector people. With that, once we do all these four, that will help for us to increase the come out of the middle income trap.
Right. Thank you, Gamini. Now, there are several questions here where asking me where Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's video presentation, now we can get to that. Can we play that?
Born on the 20th of June 1949 in Palatua in the Matara district, Gotabaya Rajapaksa was the fifth of D.A. Rajapaksa's 9 children. Gotabaya obtained his primary and secondary education at Ananda College, Colombo. He completed a master's degree in defense studies at the University of Madras in 1983, while he also completed a postgraduate diploma in information technology at the University of Colombo in 1992. He was awarded an honorary Doctor of Letters by the University of Colombo in 2009. Gotabaya joined the Sri Lanka Army as a commissioned officer in 1971. He was awarded the Rana Vikrama Padakkama and the Rana Sura Padakkama in 1991. At the point of retirement from the Army, he held the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Following the completion of his IT studies in 1992, he joined Informatics Private Limited as a marketer of advanced computer systems. Having moved to the United States in 1998, Gotabaya worked as a systems integrator at Loyola Law School in California, where he gained knowledge and experience in electronic communications. In 2005, Gotabaya was appointed the Secretary to Sri Lanka's Ministry of Defense, where he played a pivotal role in ending a 3-decade-long terrorist war. In 2010, Gotabaya's responsibilities were expanded to include both defense.
Let me first thank the organizers of this event for the invitation extended to me to take part today and appreciate this opportunity to send this message. I believe activities such as these forums have a great role to play in a democracy, and extend my sincere apologies to the organizers and those of you in the audience for having declined the invitation at the very outset. However, as many of you know, we have been running a very well-organized, tightly scheduled campaign, and my commitments for today, including several events at Veeraketiya and the rally in Ratnapura, were scheduled very much in advance. I assure you that I am not here in person because I believe in honoring those commitments. The nation is at a pivotal moment, and this election determines our fate. The economy is now in dire straits, with sentiment and key indicators all crashing to all-time lows. Having been held to ransom by 30 years of terrorism, what is alarming is that we have once again had to face the threat of terrorism. National security has been seriously compromised, and I am of the firm belief that the restoration of safety and security will translate into the stability of the economy. During the last 4 years, through Viatmaga, I have spent many hours building a constructive dialogue with the top corporates and professionals of this country. These one-on-one interactions have enabled me and my team to develop a policy framework that directly addresses the real development needs and the drawbacks faced by those in charge of facilitating growth. The strongest message arising from these interactions has been that Sri Lanka now needs a leadership that is different to traditional politicians. What they expect is a technocrat who can think innovatively and work closely with multiple stakeholders to ensure our nation does not get left behind. Ambitious plans and visions most often fail where there has been little attention paid to how these can be translated to action and followed through to implementation. I have delivered every responsibility vested in me in the past. My approach has been to identify the right people, fix the flaws, and create systems that work for the people of this country. That is how I have earned my reputation as an implementer. My vision is to empower the private sector to take charge of economic growth and to create an enabling environment. Already, the fiscal reforms I have proposed have received resounding approval from many quarters. Foreign direct investments will be encouraged while safeguarding our sovereignty and especially the competitiveness of local entrepreneurs. We must attract the right kind of investors who can transfer technologies and knowledge to increase Sri Lanka's productivity. I am of the view that the government should be the enabler for society to prosper and meet its aspirations. Government and the private sector must work hand in hand to transform lives. We need urgent systemic reforms and institutional strengthening initiatives to create a culture of transparency and accountability in public administration. This will enable the private sector, investors, and international lending agencies to work better with public officials to make credible and meaningful decisions on socio-economic issues. That's why I am keen to attract professionals to the public sector to rebuild confidence. Investment and development can be fast-tracked if a credible and firm decision-making machinery is established within a transparent governance framework. The need is to marry the virtues of
The new president has a fantastic opportunity. People who can change the system cannot become policy makers because of the current political culture.
These people have failed us for 71 years.
Make a start to make the change at this election. You have to give it to a person who can do it, who can do it.
Face the Nation. Sanuda, Ratri 9:30.
වර්ෂ 1980 නැති බැරි අය ඇති හැකි අය කරන්න.
තවුන්නාන්සේලාගේ ජීවන වියදම අඩු කරන්න. අපි කරන්නේ තමුන්නාන්සේලාගේ ඉපීමේ ශක්තිය වැඩි කරලා. ඉපීමේ ශක්තිය වැඩි කළ ප්‍රමාණයටයි තමුන්නාන්සේලාට පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ ජීවන වියදමට මුහුණ දෙන්න. ජීවන වියදම පිළිබඳ ප්‍රශ්නයට අපේ ජනතාව සන්නද්ධ කරන්නේ ජනතාවට ආදායම් මාර්ග වැඩි කිරීමෙන්.
වර්ෂ 2020 ජනපති කවුද?